How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas
Music
must
and
the
social
white
change
dove
have shared a history for millennia, perhaps most famously when Beethoven celebrated the French Revolution with Symphony No. 3, or popularly during the 1970s when Bob Dylan became the revolutionary figurehead for a generation. As a young Arab broadcaster, the moment when I realized the power of music and song was when I and millions of others around the world witnessed the events of Egypt's revolution in Tahrir Square earlier this year, and listened as thousands of talented Egyptians set their revolution to music. It is still early days to tell what the final impact of the revolution will have on the music scene in the Middle East, but I want to find out what it is that connects the two, and if there is a history of music and social change in the Arab world. As the Egyptian people rediscovered what it felt like to be a nation, united and undivided, they reverted to the raw power of their most basic musical instincts to celebrate their mass release from fear. Palestinian artist Reem Kelani was in Egypt at the outbreak of the revolution and immediately headed to Tahrir Square to join the protesters.
It was actually a case of pure serendipity, and I'm very grateful that it happened when I was there. And ironically, positively ironic that is, I was actually in Egypt researching specifically the role of Sayyid Darwish's music and the poetry of Badi' Khairi in the 1919 revolution. And suddenly, the 25th of January revolution 2011 happened. And it was amazing to see millions around you in Tahrir Square sing Sayyid Darwish. However, let us not forget the explosion of artistic talent. I'm talking about young Egyptian men and women who are young enough to be my own kids, coming up with amazing music, amazing songs, poetry, prose, plays, theatre productions. So yes, people like Sayyid Darwish, but also Sheikh Imam in the 60s, they were all there, they're the backbone. But please, let's listen also to the new sound, to the new voice, the creative explosion in cinema, in literature, in music. It was oozing with talent, Tahrir Square. And I think that is the achievement of the revolution.
Chain-smoking national poet hero Ahmed Fouad Nigm was reinstated by the Tahrir Square protesters as Egypt's bard of protest. A man of unbelievable courage, Nigm has spent 18 of his 81 years in Egyptian prisons. In 2006, he was being interviewed by the New York Times when a donkey brayed loudly outside his ramshackle flat in one of Cairo's poorer neighborhood. "Ah, Mubarak speaks," he quipped to the astonished journalist. The donkey and the foal, Nigm's sarcastic tribute to Mubarak and his son, Gamal, was set to music by Rami Assam, a young engineering student who became the Billy Bragg of Tahrir Square. He sang the song to ecstatic crowds with the ancient Nigm beside him, still standing tall. Assam went to Tahrir Square early in the uprising with his guitar and cobbled together a song called Leave from all the inventive slogans that were flying around the square. It became the hit of the uprising, going viral on YouTube and the Huffington Post, before being picked up by CNN and then TV networks around the globe. Assam lived in Tahrir Square's tent village for the entire revolution, composing songs and playing almost every hour on one of the many stages. In that temporary utopia, Egypt rediscovered its love of freedom, honesty, joy, and simplicity. The revolution stripped away layers from the fatuous, irrelevant body of Egyptian pop to expose a new punk-like directness and integrity in artists such as Assam, Mohammed Munir, or Amir Eid from the rock band Kairoki, who gathered together other luminaries from the Cairo rock scene to record the rousing hymn-like anthem to the revolution, Sawt al-Hurriya, the voice of freedom. The people had enough of living through lies, whether it was political, social, religious, or cultural. One of the great contributions of the music tradition has been its illuminations of the idea and reality of historic revolution. Songs tell us about our history and give us a new way of looking at things. Professor Martin Stokes of St John's College, Oxford, told me it's a way of remembering stories and of rallying others to a cause.
Well, music and politics, both in the Middle East and in Europe and in the Circum-Mediterranean world, have been very closely connected, very closely linked, I think, for millennia, actually, rather than centuries. Music, let's just say, song, has emotional charge. It brings people together in quite powerful and quite complex ways.
Music has also been an excellent way of communicating ideas. Chants repeated by protesters in the streets have been essential in voicing ideas, demands, and creating a sense of unity.
But what struck me watching, I mean, again from a distance, looking at the events of Tahrir Square and elsewhere, and just wondering and thinking about the power of the sort of vocal power of this chanting, of this hitafat, this tradition of very smart and very witty rhyming couplets, some of which can just be devastatingly funny and have just a way of just capturing the imagination of people, kind of just like that, and generating this amazing sort of sonic presence. I mean, that capacity to vocalize, that capacity to come up with these witty rhyming couplets, this is something that comes from, let's just call it Beledi vocal art forms. So this is not to say that there is a politics there, but it's a kind of a resource, a kind of folk resource that can be put to very powerful political purposes.
The people want the fall of the regime. The words are echoed across the capitals of the Arab world. After years of corrupt government and a system which undermined freedom of expression, these words sounded like music to the ears of those watching the Arab Spring unfold. Lebanese hip-hop artist Rais Dek explained what went through his mind when he put the chants of Arab revolutionaries to music on his track Thawra, Revolution.
Each citizen has to do this work in trying to improve the society we are living in, and I think the Arab society could be much better. And I think what I've done is nothing else than just telling my opinion on politics in the Middle East. And I think I try to push people to go on the street, but when you see all those people in the street, you just understand that the problem does really exist. It's not a fake problem, because I've been doing this for 10 years now, and a lot of people were criticizing me, telling me that this is useless, that what I'm doing is pointless, and that the problem I'm talking about are fake. But in fact, in February, or in 2011, we just realized that there is a real revolution in the whole Arab world, and I think it's only the beginning.
But what is it that distinguishes music as a powerful rallying tool?
Sound is very powerful. When you talk to someone, first of all, this is sound, and then it is word. And I think when you shout, when you cry, everything you do, every emotion is about sound first. You can hear it, you can feel it through the sound. So I think music can bring people together. I think music can bring energy. So sound is very important.
But it would be incorrect to assume that protest music is only music of revolution, as Syrian classical musician Kenan Azmi says.
Music, like any other art forms, reflect two things: reflect how the artists feel at a moment, and also reflect what they experience. what's happening in Egypt and Tunisia was absolutely inspiring. I mean, seeing Egypt, for example, to see all this beautiful, peaceful demonstration that happened, and to see actually that, I mean, lots of people I read in Western press how Egyptians are teaching the world again about civilization. You know, no one thought that something like this can happen in Egypt in the way it happened. The lyricless music being the most abstract art form can really have even a bigger impact, where you actually, because it's open for interpretation. And you should ask the audience, actually, more than asking the artist, how do you think this music is going to impact you? I mean, the concert that I did 2 days ago, did it impact anyone? Maybe not. Maybe they just felt 1 minute of pleasure. And if one person in the audience felt happy after the show or felt emotionally charged, it's not about feeling sad or happy, because, you know, I want people to be feeling some kind of emotion, then I succeeded doing what I'm doing.
Rap and hip-hop have been growing in popularity across the Arab world, especially in Lebanon and Palestine, where there has been a stronger trend for experimentation. Since the ascension of Bashar al-Assad in Syria year 2000, there has been a relaxation from the extremely oppressive rule of his father, and many artists have felt it is possible to experiment and push previously untouched boundaries. I met the Sham MC rappers in the old city of Damascus. The Sham MCs don't like to talk about the unrest in Syria, but they do like to talk about daily life there. For instance, one song is about how quickly your government check runs out after the first of the month. They see it as their duty to raise awareness of social issues amongst their contemporaries.
Rap talks about everything, because rap means life and lyrics. So I can't just talk about one thing, because life got everything. But what we're doing right now, we're starting with simple subjects, like Bombas told you, because it's new. I can't go too complicated in a song, step by step. So we're starting from the daily life of people. Like, if you want, we can talk about our next album, some of the subjects, so it's gonna be. Like the daily life, the boys, how they live in. In our first album, we had a song called Syrian Girls.
بنت الكبة.
It remains to the cards, the hard girl, you know? So it talks about the girl, how they live in nowadays, with their mistakes. And right now we're doing the same about the boys, the way they live in every day, what's wrong about it, and how they can fix it. So if you mean, it's like something simple, anyone can live it, not only the rappers live in these problems.
Since the time of the interviews, the situation dramatically deteriorated in Syria, but along with that was an increase in music of the Syrian uprising, ironically both against and for the regime. This was seen recently at a pro-regime rally which hosted a number of big-name stars singing in support of the president. Something which has really been countered by other street artists who, like their Egyptian contemporaries, set to putting their anti-regime chants to music, in some cases paying with their lives for having done so. It seems that music is being used as a potent instrument of social change, raising awareness amongst the audience of the issues at stake, and also as a rallying cry for the support of a common cause. Artists seem to view their music just as an orator would his voice, a writer his pen, or a painter his brush. It seems logical that this way of communicating may be used by both sides of a cause. An artist will always be an artist, even if there is a difference in opinion.
يا حيف اخ ويا حيف زخ رصاص على الناس العزل يا حيف واطفال بعمر الورد تعتقلن كيف زخ رصاص على الناس العزل يا حيف واطفال بعمر الورد تعتقلن كيف